Hello everyone, today I would like to briefly discuss a very interesting topic as usual, which is related to bilingualism. And the exact question that we are going to answer today is what it means to be native-like, and is it true that we can call ourselves bilingual only if we are native-like? Why this topic? Yesterday I had a very lovely conversation with my friend who said that to him, being bilingual means to be perfect in two languages, to be native-like. That is the term that he used. And I suppose that most people would use this term to define bilingualism, yeah? Being native-like, speak the way native speakers speak. And when he said that, I was like, trust me that I exploded, right? I have spent years trying to convince people that a native speaker is actually a bit like a sacred cow. That's this mythical person that nobody can really define, but which we usually use as a point of reference in any discussions about second language learning. And today I would like to ask you a few questions so that you may think of it. Think of how relevant it is to talk about a native speaker-like competence in terms of second language learning. First of all, let me tell you this. Who do you think about when you think about a native speaker? Who is a role model to you? What does a perfect speaker of a language, a native speaker, sound like? When I think of that, I usually think of a professor of English, right? Of someone who is extremely skilled when it comes to language. But when you think of it even harder, you realize that native speakers vary big time. A native speaker can be a professor. A native speaker can be a construction worker, although it's highly unlikely that he will be a role model to you, but still, he is a native speaker. That can be a random person met in the street. So you can already see that a native speaker is a very vague category, and one might ask why we actually stick with that so hard. It has been very, very difficult to debunk the myth that a native speaker is that magical figure that we should look up to, right? So that's the first problem. How can we define a native speaker? Who is he or who is she? Secondly, when we think of native speakers, we usually assume that they have complete attainment of a language, that their knowledge is finite, and the process of gaining knowledge is complete in their case. That's obviously not true, because we are all continuously learning our native languages. I am myself a native speaker of Polish, and trust me that just the fact I am a native speaker of Polish does not prevent me from making mistakes in my native language. And that's why I have to, consult all these books all the time. I do my best not to make mistakes, but that's something that we all have problems with. And again, it doesn't mean that we are plainly stupid or something, but it simply means that we as native speakers are very imperfect. And to be honest, I wouldn't consider myself a role model for anybody. Before the war, there was a guy whose name was Leonard Bloomfield. He was a very radical guy. Today we would call him a radical linguist. In his seminal work, Language, oh, that's a shocking title, isn't it? He wrote that to be bilingual is to have a native-like command of two languages, period. He didn't say anything about that. He didn't elaborate on that at all. And even though it was just one sentence, it had a huge impact on the generations of linguists to come. And I was myself delighted to see that radical statement in a book, right? Because for some reason it appealed to my idealism. I also thought that to be able to call oneself a bilingual, you must be absolutely fluent in two languages. And today, of course, we have a more liberal and a more accurate approach towards that. And we know that being imperfect does not mean that you are not bilingual. I hope that this short presentation will make you aware of the fact that we shouldn't be so obsessive about native speakers, and that which we should be a bit more critical when it comes to that role model. And to sum up this short speech, I would like to ask you, what do you think is bilingualism? How do you define bilingualism, and at which point do you think we become bilingual? Is that really about being native-like? Let me know in the comments section. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Mwah. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.